Hey guys, so it's been kind of a while since I've recorded an ochem study with me. So I had my ochem exam last Thursday, and I think the last study with me I recorded was 3 days before my actual exam. So the second last day before my exam, I literally got no studying done because I was just really anxious, like kind of stagnant, just sitting there. And the day before, I kind of got my stuff together and I don't know if it was like the most productive day, the most efficient, most productive, but like I eventually decided that something was better than nothing. And so yeah. So I guess I'll jump right into it. What my grades are, reflections, and then also like stuff I learned along the way. So what you see over here, this is 152 over 250, it kind of rounds off to like a 60-ish is my exam 2 grade. This is what I was kind of studying for. 121 over 250 here. 250 you see over here is my exam 1 grade, which is like a 48%, like the really bad one. Mind you, this was a pretty easy exam too, and you can see like that class average was like a 190. Now, honestly, 152 over 250 is still a pretty bad grade. However, when I opened this, I was really happy because you need to like look at the growth, right? 121 to 152. Yes, it's growth, and that's what we're looking for. So I kind of really want to emphasize that, growth. So kind of mentality wise, how I felt about both exam, kind of a comparison. So for exam one, I I feel like I studied 50% thoroughly, and then the other 50% I completely neglected. Also, I wouldn't say 50% thoroughly, I'll say kind of thoroughly. So it wasn't a really good exam. So I guess my failures, what happened were one, exam anxiety. So I have this thing, it's just particularly to OChem. I usually don't have this in my other subjects. As like exam day draws near, like the day before, the week before, I'm just unable to study. And I think I've kind of developed it because in OChem 1, I didn't do too well, and I don't know. Yeah. So my failures, exam anxiety, um, not consistently studying, um, not asking for help is a big one I want to touch upon. What else? So I think these are like some failures. Okay, not initially going for breath. So I would say like it's kind of like being too focused on perfection, focused on perfection. So yeah. And now for my second exam, which I got a 152 on, so this kind of translates to like a 48%. And then exam two, which I got a 60-ish% on. Um, if you look at it alone, it's really bad, but like you need to look at like the 48 to 60, and then you also need to look at like how I'm more closer to my class average compared to here, like 121, 190, 70-point jump. This is like a 20-point jump, progress. Um, okay, so for this month, I skimmed through everything. So I had breath. I had an idea what was going on. Um, I also feel like so I skimmed through everything and I was doing more consistent studying. So I would not as consistent as I guess I could have like ideally been. So I had like kind of consistent studying in the sense that I've improved. Um, So there was still a bit of exam anxiety. So I'll write like mild exam anxiety, but I got over it, which was the awesome part. Eventually, the day before the exam, we kind of got our stuff together. And like even the week before the exam, we were kind of like able to study. So yeah. And so I kind of want to write what worked, what I feel like what worked. So what worked? I think what worked was definitely having an everything breath. Oh yeah, I also want to add how I felt. So this is kind of like a how I felt in exam, like during the actual exam, during exam, and then yeah, and then exam prep. I'll write like that. This is like so this is part of the exam prep. And now how I felt during my actual exam. I want to say everything was familiar. All reagents was familiar thanks to the breath. I don't know if I'm spelling that right. Ignore that. Breath review. So I was able to write down something. So I was able to write down something. But I was not 100% for sure. Like there were so many things I should have memorized. So many things I should have memorized that I just did not. And I think I definitely had like the ability to, I think if I had put in more effort, could have definitely attained a score of 200, 250 is what I generally feel like. So exams for I skimmed through everything but kind of consistent studying, mild exam, but I got over it. And I want to mention things that I feel like that worked. Um, so specific study strategies was lecture summaries. I feel like this really works and aim for consistency over perfection. So don't worry about making the most perfect summary. This is kind of just to make sure you kind of know what's going on. Another thing is watching lecture videos fast. And I also add to this like time management, being smart and using empty space time. Okay. So basically about empty space time is something I recently learned from a friend. So empty space time is like pockets of time you have in your free time. So like when you're waiting for the bus or you're walking across campus, now these little pockets of times um are time where you can use to do like little activities and stuff, like read a book or something. So for me, that was like before getting ready for school or something. I realized I had like empty space time, and even if it was like just watching 2 minutes of lecture video, like that adds a lot. It's a lot more than nothing, and it also adds to like just layering up on your familiarity with the knowledge. So I highly recommend that. So that's something that worked for me watching lecture video. Another thing that worked for me, something I got from another friend, was asking for help. You know, your classmates, professors, like don't be scared of asking for help if everyone in your class is doing better than you. Like this is literally me. Like when I tell you I'm like in the lowest of my class, like I'm at the bottom of my class. But I literally asked for help and, kind of got the help I needed. And I emailed my professor and everything, and he was really helpful. And people want to help you. Um, or like people might not want to help you, but like you don't lose anything by asking for help. And also professors, especially I heard from a friend that they really appreciate when you actually come to them and you admit you're struggling and you ask for help because there's something that they're really experiencing and they really appreciate that you're putting the effort to get that like good grade or like trying to really understand that concept really well. So, take advantage of that, ask people for help. And yeah. And another thing is like kind of asking for help was like attending like tutoring sessions in person on campus. So I feel like this is something that I kind of found out the day before the exam. Um, but it was just kind of like revolutionary for me because I realized for me with ochem when I self-study, I get like stuck on a concept, and so I'll be like texting in my ochem Discord or whatever, and I can't really get a reply fast, and I just have so many questions when I'm doing a concept. Now the thing about like going for like these in-person tutoring free services they usually offer on campus is you can get your questions usually answered like directly and usually by really like knowledgeable people, and it's really like nice to have that like assistance, and they can even walk through questions with you, and so you can even understand like the thinking process. So highly, highly recommend you take advantage of stuff like that. And so that's something that really worked for me. And I think that's pretty much kind of it that worked for me. Also, I liked how I prioritized practice problems. I did definitely didn't do as much as I wanted, but I prioritized practice problems instead of wasting time making cute cheat sheets. And the reason I say this is because when on a time crunch, it's just sometimes you have to like be able to weigh what's more important, prioritize. So I don't want to say cheat sheets are not effective because no, I'm gonna say that my cheat sheets are definitely helpful. When I was in that last week before my exam, it just wasn't feasible or like something that would give you like a good amount of, I don't know, like return on investment kind of thing. So yeah, just being able to like make that decision and stuff like that. And kind of something I actually heard recently in a podcast is you can't be stagnant. You can't be stagnant. You should always be giving creating momentum. So it's basically the idea, so for example, she used this example of like I think it was Navy SEALs or something. Like say for example something, or was it like army training? Basically when they're getting trained, um you get like when you're in training practicing firing shots, right? You can't just stay stagnant. If you just stand still stagnant, you will get shot at, right? And but then if you're like moving around, like you're missing shots, like hey, you're not perfect, but at least you're not getting shot at. You're not standing, being stagnant and getting shot at. The least you can do is move around, create movement. And also, for example, like if you're lost in the ocean, instead of if you're lost, at least move somewhere so you can like at least get information, even if you're wrong. And so this is the idea of like don't be stagnant and you should always be creating momentum. Um, I'll actually put this in like some like lessons, I guess, question mark. Okay. And so something else I want to add is um also something I kind of read recently is trust the process, give it time. It might not work. I'm not using the exact words, but basically like the idea is you need to give it time, it will work, and you need to trust the process. Give it time, trust the process. This one is something I'm honestly like still experimenting out with. Like for example, like this is something I'm like currently going through, like, 152, old me would have been like, dang, I still did bad, like, I still failed. But like I'm planning to be optimistic about this. I see growth. I'm gonna continue on with this like reflective, studying approach, and I will give it time to improve. I will trust the process and, hope for the best and continue creating momentum and all that. Okay. So kind of going forward, what I want to do, what I want to take away, make a study plan. All right, make study plan for final exam. Something I want to continue is making lecture summaries. Aim for consistency, not perfection. Watch lecture videos. Now write time management, empty space. Go to in-campus tutoring frequently, now and then. 2 minutes, 2 minutes of knowledge makes a greater impact than you think. And okay, make cheat sheets early on, ask for help, talk to professor, go to office hours, you know, so like be sincere, I'd say. And yeah. And then oh yeah, another one, attitude. So as I kind of grow older, I'm kind of realizing, well, everything is really an attitude game. Are you just gonna sit there, be stagnant, be scared? Are you gonna like continue like being negative and like just telling yourself how bad you are? Or are you just gonna like, yeah, like, yeah, I'm feeling this, but I'm gonna be like really positive. I'm gonna like stick with this. I'm gonna trust the process and I'm gonna give it all I've got. So I can go to bed like being happy that I gave it all I could, you know? Okay, so it's already 1:05. I don't want to like push this too long, but yeah, thank you for kind of being a part of this little ochem study with me series. I'll be continuing it for my final exam, which I forgot when it is, but yeah, we really, really, really need to lock in for that. So yeah, thank you.